Good morning. How's the real estate market, everybody? Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable, and I hope you're using this because this is truly an unbelievable market here. If you notice my background, I just got back from a bike ride to Utah, the Grand Canyon, went up to Bryce Canyon, beautiful country out there. As you may not know, all our national parks are now open. Utah restaurants are open. It's amazing. We had a group of about a dozen riders. We actually sat down to breakfast and dinner together. So I'm hoping that this will be our last Zoom monthly meeting. And next month, July 1st is Wednesday. I hope to be back at the South Bay Association Realtors for our monthly office meeting with breakfast. With breakfast. Okay, so we're going to go right into our market update. First, as you guys may have seen from many of our emails, both NAR and C.A.R. is giving us basically daily updates on how COVID-19 is affecting the market across the United States. So probably once or twice a week, we forward this information to you via email. What's interesting though is they just did a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to go through that. We're only going to take just a few minutes on this, so hopefully you'll be able to see this. It's also available. All of the information that we go through today, including the forms and the PowerPoint information, the presentation, will be available for you to download and to pass on to any of your clients if you'd like to use that in your marketing. Okay, so let's go right into our PowerPoint. This is a coronavirus market update by C.A.R. Okay, so this is basically about a 12-week period in which you're looking at data from March 1st through May 23rd. So this is about a week old here. If we can go right into closed sales, Danny. Yeah, we don't have the PowerPoint up yet. Just give us a minute here. Oh, good. Okay, so again, if you look at let's look at that first top left slide there where it has closed sales begin to rise in recent weeks. This is for all of California. So we're basically interested in that second section there for Southern California. And as you'll see that near the end of May is the first time that closed sales have increased. It's been on a steady decline basically through April. So we're basically on an upturn. And if you look at statewide statistics, that's also on an upturn for all of California. We've all had more sale closings over these past 2 weeks than in the previous 10 weeks. The biggest increase in this last slide on the bottom right has been has been in sales over $1 million. So we have never been short on buyers for the entry level in that $500,000 or $600,000 price range. Our agents have seen multiple offers on almost all of those listings, but it looks now that we're getting more closings in these $1 million plus sales. So the market is definitely improving here over the last couple of weeks. Let's go to the next 4 slides. Pendings have also turned around over these last 2 weeks. They've reached their highest level now in 12 weeks. So since they've been, since the COVID-19, pendings are now at the highest level. This is throughout California. And the next slide. New listings. New listings are basically leveling off. If you look at the statewide on the new listings on the top right, and we're seeing this. We're also getting reports. Danny is a director on NAR, and when we get reports from other states that have basically come out of the COVID-19 lockdown, agents are reporting and brokers there are reporting that the inventory has basically all been bought up. And you can see how that's happening here in California. New listings plateaued as buyers and as buying activity increases, we are not seeing an increase in listings. So, you know, what does that tell you? That these prices, there's going to be more pressure on prices to go up, and listings are basically going to rule the market. So if you have that luxury to be working with potential sellers, get those listings. Let's go on to the next slide. Prices have remained steady throughout the state. It sees that actual sales, a couple of those in a couple of areas, those have list prices have been reduced in a couple of sections of California. But as you can see in Southern California, those prices have basically remained stable or have been going up over the last couple of weeks. And lastly, is that what else we got there on that, Danny? Okay, so that's it. So the main thing on those slides I wanted to bring up is that the market has definitely turned. There will be a shortage of listings. So it's an incredible market right now. These are historic times that we are experiencing, and especially with the rioting in the streets. But it's a crazy market out there. But buyers still want to buy, and sellers, there are sellers out there that have to sell. So for those that are working, it's going to be an incredible market. Interest rates are still at 3%. I've actually heard some lower quotes than that. And you know, there's a lot of agents in TRG that are not working, and there's also a lot that have never been busier. So I'm hoping for those that want to work will get out there while the competition is sleeping. Okay, so TRG, we've actually doubled our sales. We went from 6 closings 2 months ago to 12 closings last month. Congratulations to Connie Winning. She had 2 closings in May. We had 3 agents join us. Welcome to Nicole. We were just introduced to her. As of June 1st, our office hours are now Monday through Friday from 9 till 3 p.m. Call us if you need to get in other than those hours posted. A lot of us are still around the office, but again, officially, TRG is open 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. Every Thursday, we're continuing to do our Zoom lunch and learns at noon. We send out multiple emails on each of these. We've had some very interesting and educational Zoom meetings. Tomorrow at noon for our Thursday lunch and learn, we'll have Lisa Holger. She's a fellow Rotarian and a real estate investor. And she's going to be talking about Investing 101, real life house flipping. So she has an investment group that flips houses. And for those that are interested in that, check it out. Again, that's tomorrow at noon. Just click on the email that Danny will send you to join that Zoom meeting. Also for our Thursday lunch and learn, we just got confirmed yesterday that the C.A.R.'s chief economist, Jordan Levine, he's going to be our program for the June 25th lunch and learn. Okay, let's get into these new forms. So we've got about probably 9 different forms. We're going to hit on 3 or 4 of them on this meeting. Some of them are repetitive, but I want to go through what's required now for the agents out there that are taking listings. When you take a new listing, use the RLA-CAA C.A.A. form. That's the residential listing coronavirus addendum, CVA. Okay, this is a different one that you have up there, Danny.
That's great. The attention to it comes in it.
Yeah. Okay. So this first off, so anytime that you're taking a listing, the CAA goes along with that listing agreement, and basically what it states is it gives the sellers notice about COVID-19, and they specifically have to mark on that CAA form if they're agreeing to allow showings on the property and marketing activity. So obviously this is an important form. Again, this is the CAA addendum to your listing agreement. You will also, at that listing appointment, you'll have the seller sign the PEAD, which is the Property Entry Advisory and Declaration. So the PEAD form, I know a lot of you are already familiar with this if you're showing property. There's one for the seller that you have the seller sign when you take the listing. And again, it's another disclosure that notifies the seller that we will be showing your home. Plus the PEAD-V for visitor is what that listing agent is going to require for every visitor of that property. Attached to that VEAD, as Danny is scrolling up now, is that BPPP, the Best Practices Prevention Plan for showings. I believe it's about 5 or 6 pages, and it gives the rules for showing and visiting properties. Okay, so we're going to go through a couple of things on this. The bottom line is that the listing agent is responsible for making sure that all of these guidelines are followed. Again, I think that was one of Becky's questions. The listing agent is the one that bears the responsibility. So when you take that listing, not only are you going to be getting these addendums signed by the seller along with that PEAD, but it's going to be that listing agent's responsibility to see that all visitors to the property also sign that PEAD/V for visitors, and that you keep a copy of that in your file. Another responsibility of that listing agent is to have the form, the PRE, the Rules for Entry form, posted. We have a copy. We have copies here in the office, but these are required to be at the entrance of the property to have this PRE posted. A few of the things that are required of that listing agent at their listing, 3 things that they have to have is there has to be hand sanitizer, there has to be sanitizing wipes, and face coverings available for everyone entering that property. Again, this is the listing agent's responsibility. It's also, as it states in these forms, it's also the responsibility for anyone coming into the property to immediately, as it states, wash their hands at the property. So this is not only any visitor, any agent, but any of the vendors that you have going into your listing. Directly before or after all showings, it's also that listing agent's responsibility to see that the property was disinfected. So when you read through these forms, this includes all the doorknobs, the railings, the lockbox, any counters and knobs, light switches, sinks, and toilets. So realtors now have another job description when they do these showings. And again, I think I've said this 4 times now, this all goes back to the listing agent. It is their responsibility. We do not hand out any flyers. We clean the keys, and we provide trash receptacles for the disposal of any gloves, masks, or anything else that the visitor is bringing into the property. It is the listing agent's responsibility to ensure that the property is thoroughly cleaned, disinfected, and that visitors abide by social distancing rules. Okay, and then just as a repeat, and then I think we got a question here from Carol. We'll go to you. It is every visitor is required to sign that PEAD-V that has the best practice guidelines attached to it. Okay, the buyer's agent is only responsible for having his client sign that PEAD form. All right, Carol, you got a question?
Yes, I have a gentleman who does not have a computer. So this is about a 16-page form. I printed it once and I mailed it to him. He lives in Bellflower. We may be looking at property in Rancho PV. If I show him more than one form, first of all, do I need to get him to sign? Do I need to print this out every time I show it? Can I figure out a way to have him sign once, use that as a template, and every time we go to see a property, I could scan that into my zip forms and then fill out the rest of it to send out? Because honestly, that's 16 pages that I have to print every time for every showing.
Yeah, a good question, Carol. Thank you for bringing that up. So again, these forms that we will be posting today are new as of yesterday. These are June 2nd forms. So they've done some revisions. The best practices does not require any signatures, and it's 5 pages. That's one that's showing up now. 5 pages. So you just need to give your client a copy of that. There's nothing there for them to sign. The PEAD/V for visitor, that is the form. It's only 2 pages, and that needs to be signed by your buyer with a specific address. So you will have to do that top page. If you've got 5 different properties, you'll have to put 5 different addresses or do 5 different first page forms on that. You are only responsible to have your client sign this and to give a copy to the hopefully requesting listing agent on that. So they've tried to make this so that it's not as difficult. In other words, we don't need broker. You don't have to have a broker sign it. All you need is your client signature and the property address. Does that help, Carol?
Well, I therefore have another question, because if I thought I needed to provide this document to the listing agent before we showed it, which is valid, I get it. The problem is that I may not see him to sign it until I'm showing it. So
Well, again, it is the listing agent's responsibility. So if they're not asking for that, I would just make sure that your buyer client has signed a copy for your files. If they're not asking for it, that's not your responsibility. You just need a copy that your client has signed on properties that you're showing.
Right. So, but what if, you know, most of the agents now under their agent remarks are asking for the PEAD. So therefore, I'm just thinking of a protocol here that I can meet with him, have him sign it, which means hopefully he has a pen, or else I give him a pen. He signs it, and then I'll take a photo of it and text it over to the agent. I guess that's the way to do it.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If there's any other questions on there, just make a note in the chat, and Danny will get to you. Becky, we'll go back to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so like today, it seems the agent, and I'm going to call her after this call, but what if we run into agents who don't know their responsibilities. It's like, are we going to have to say, hey, did you know you're supposed to sanitize and you're supposed to be there and have these things available? Are we supposed to like educate them? How's that gonna
No, good question. No, that's not your responsibility, but I would definitely have your client sign that PEAD-V. The first one that your buyer will sign will have that 5-page best practices attached to it.
Right.
Any additional properties that they're showing, all you would need is just the 2-page visitor form signed. And you can even just keep the second page and just redo the front page because it's the one that's specific to a property address. So again, your first meeting with your buyer, you're going to give them the 5-page BPPP for the best practices, and you're going to have them fill out that 2-page PEAD visitor.
Right, we've got that down, but I want to make sure you understand what I'm asking. So if we run into agents that don't know their responsibility in this new time, how do we handle that? Do we just take our safety precautions?
It's not your responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just take care of your clients so that they are aware.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a question here on a vacant property. Again, I would always call the listing agent. We should all be doing that anyway, especially in a market like in a hot market like this. You need to check and make sure if there's any offers on the property, and ask if they have any showing instructions on that vacant property. If not, if they give you the okay to just go over there and use the lockbox, then do so. If they're not asking for the form, then again, it's the listing agent's responsibility to ask for that. I would just cover yourself, have your buyer sign that 2-page PEAD-V for visitor form. Keep that in your file. All right. Any other questions on this? Amanda?
Hi, Mr. Derf. Sorry, I was trying to get myself zoomed in on Zoom. Long story short, with regards to the lock boxes, and I don't know if anyone has asked this, if we're having lock boxes and we're having agents go to the property, we're just providing the tools and the sanitizer and all that stuff for them, or for every single showing we go in, especially if they have access to it. Some agents don't let you know.
Yes. So when you read through the paperwork, it is very clear that if you are a listing agent of a vacant property and you have a lockbox on that property, it should only be appointment only through the listing agent. Because as I mentioned, the listing agent is responsible to go through the property before the showing to make sure that you have those 3 items, that you have the sanitizer, face mask, and that everything is clean in the property. And once they leave, then it's your responsibility as that listing agent to go through and disinfect that property, the lockbox, all the counters. It's itemized. It's very clear in these rules. So I mean, those are the rules. Now, you know, Danny, we've been showing properties where there's a line out the door, people going in and showing these. So I'm just telling you what the rules are. In practice out there, a lot of listing agents are not asking or not requiring these PEADs, but that's the law right now. And I'm hoping, knock on wood here, that that this will only be around here for a couple more weeks. But this is the current law. I'm glad you joined us, Amanda, because I know you've been very busy. Why don't you, if you got a minute, can you tell us about the number of showings? You also had a good tip that you were doing, since you had so many buyers, that you were showing about your little package you provided them.
Oh yes. I've been doing quite a few showings. I think in the last week I might have done 9 showings altogether. And I bought a value pack of sorts of medium, small, and large gloves, shoe booties, and masks, because I got a bigger discount when I purchased more. And I put them in Ziploc bags and I sell them to my clients for $5 so that when we're going for showings, they have what they need in case they haven't brought any. And of course it costs me more than $5, but all I do is reinvest that money to purchase the supplies again, and they don't mind at all.
That's great, Amanda. Thank you for sharing it. And what has been your experience with listing agents? Have they been requiring that PEAD before you show properties?
Most do. I just do it just to cover myself and my buyer anyway, because as you always taught, whenever anything goes wrong, they're going to involve their agent, or we'll get involved with the whole lawsuit if there is one anyway. So I do it just to cover ourselves,
Great.
regardless of whether or not they request it.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks for sharing. Any other questions on this PEAD form? Okay, so I'm going to move on here. There's an optional form. That's the CVA form. I think we showed that earlier. The coronavirus. Let me get that here. Just a second. Yeah. Okay, so this is with it's used with offer. So this is an optional form. This actually came out over a month ago, and it basically states that, hey, we're in difficult times right now, and we may need to do extensions on time frames. So this is telling all the buyers and the sellers that basically the time frames in the contract may be extended. So, read this. I would recommend not using this form, but it is an optional form if a buyer or a seller is concerned about time extensions, and this helps you keep everybody happy and keeps them a little bit more fluid on the contract time frames. Then that's what this form is for. Again, this is the CVA, the Coronavirus Addendum form. There's also another one that's a NUCC, the Notice of Unforeseen Coronavirus Circumstances. So again, this is another optional form. Again, it just states that buyers or sellers can complete this and say, hey, COVID-19 is impacting my purchase or my sale, and we may have to have extensions. Again, this is an optional form, but the C.A.R. attorneys have been busy in drawing up all of these addendums for us to use if we need to. Okay, so I think that's it on the new forms. Again, the most important ones are when you take that listing, you need that CAA addendum that talks about COVID-19, and you have to have your sellers and any buyers sign that PEAD form. Okay, we also, Cal OSHA has done a 20-page booklet right here, and we'll have that available to you. This is just for real estate. So it gives you specifics on how to go in and clean the counters, clean the doorknobs, clean the toilets after every showing. Again, this is Cal OSHA. This is mandated for all of California. And we also have a summary. This is a nice article written. It's in the Real Trends news magazine. An article by Sue Johnson wrote this, and it's a summary of all the recent federal laws, rules, and orders dealing with COVID-19. This is a great piece to use as a handout for your clients if they have questions on how COVID-19 is impacting the real estate industry. Okay, so lastly, I just have a few things I want to talk about before we get back to work. For agents that want to work, as I've mentioned before, there are buyers out there that want to buy. We're seeing multiple offers, continuing to see those. Focus on getting listings. The supply will be bought up and listings will rule the market once this passes. I've had quite a few agents ask me how can they get more business during these times. Go back to your basics, provide a service for your clients. Everyone wants to know what the real estate market is doing during COVID-19. So be that specialist, educate the client, let them know that the market is still good out there. Interest rates are at the historic lows again. You need to educate your clients. I would stay away. One of the things that I'm experiencing here, usually every week or two, I'll have an agent come in that has gotten involved in a conditional offer. That's where a seller says, oh, I'll sell my house, but I want to find another one first. Or, yeah, I want to buy this house, but I have to sell my house. You know, for agents that are busy, we don't even deal with clients like this. And I see that we have quite a few agents that are spinning their wheels on this. It's important that you educate those clients and explain that there are other options rather than using a contingency purchase or a contingency sell. If you're dealing with a seller that will sell only if they can find a new home, educate them, explain to them that as your listing agent, I'm not going to bring you a buyer that wants to buy your house, even if they're paying full price, subject to them selling their house, especially if it's not even on the market yet. Everybody's spinning their wheels, and in most cases, it's been my experience that not only does the transaction not go through, but you lose the client. So explain to them different options. They can go out, they can sell their house, you can ask for a long escrow, you can put a clause into the purchase that the seller has the right to rent back for a month or two afterwards. But this is what we've been doing for decades in this industry. Don't make it contingent. Have them sell their home so that they can go in and not have that contingency purchase on the buying end. For buyers that need to sell their home first, in the past and even today, you can use swing loans or bridge loans so that they can purchase a property and then sell their house. And they need to be educated on how this works. But getting back to what I've just said, the number one way to handle this is to have that seller sell their home and ask for an extended escrow or the right to rent back for a month or two after close of escrow. Okay, so my 3 tips here for success in today's market. If you already have a farm that you're working or a sphere of influence, make a contact with everybody that is on your list. Educate them on the market. Let them know that you are working. You know, everybody out there wants to support you, and especially in times like this. If they're not looking to buy or sell, they probably have someone that does, and they can refer those to you. If you're a new agent in this market, start your sphere of influence with people that you already know. Call them, educate them on the current market conditions. You know, these interest rates are incredible right now. We still have inventory, and I would say, you know, most agents are still not working. So there's a lot less competition out there when you're writing these offers. And 3, lastly, if you're not working, prep yourself for when you do go back to work. Work on your goals and plan your work. Improve yourself with education. As you know, you can renew your license now or get your broker's license. TRG will provide all of these classes for you for free. So this is a great opportunity to educate yourself and meet your goals when this market returns to full force. I have a piece of cake with me. I'm in the office. If you have any other questions, call, text, email me. Make it a great day. Thank you for joining us at this Zoom office meeting.